Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Your Spiritual Journey. This is Dr. Bob, and this is the space and the place where we talk about things important to your soul. And for you watchers on YouTube, I just want to let you know that my nose feels fine. It's just bandaged from some Mohs surgery. And the bandages come off tomorrow, so I'm not going to look like this for much longer. So enjoy it while you can. Today's guest sent me a fairly long bio, but I'm going to tell you that I need to let you know this entire bio because she is so fascinating. And there are so many different things that she's into in terms of being creative that she's just going to blow your mind. So my guest is Jessica Coulter. She's an artist, a healer, a visionary. She's deeply committed to sharing a message of love and inspiration through her music, art, and spiritual work. With a heart full of compassion, she believes in the transformative power of love and its ability to create things.
That's making me emotional.
I said create things, and what I meant was create change.
Yeah.
And boy,
just that line made me emotional.
that just resonates with me so much. Through her heartfelt creations, Jessica encourages others to recognize that even the smallest act of love can ripple outward, sparking a wave of healing and connection. So she's a Reiki master and a spirit medium. She dedicates herself to guiding others on their journey back to love. Jessica is the frontwoman, vocalist, and guitarist for the rock band Dematus.
Yeah, everyone struggles with that.
Yeah, well, I
was
thinking it's like a Dematus.
No, actually came from a spider species name, which is so funny.
Oh,
I can explain
okay.
a lot more.
All right, we'll get into that. I will say that I watched one of the music videos, and I didn't expect what I got, which was heavy metal. But anyway, we'll talk about that in addition to quite a few other things. Because in addition to her musical pursuits, she channels her creativity into her own clothing line. It's called A Fairytale Clothing.
Mm-hmm.
And she's wearing a piece of that now, so you'll get an idea of what that's all about. She's also the founder of Rootful Love, a greeting card company with a purpose. Each card is infused with love and intention, and a percentage of the proceeds goes to supporting animal shelters. Furthermore, Jessica created the Animal Connections deck, and I asked her to bring that deck with her so that we can take a look at what that's all about. And that's a tool to help others tap into their intuition and strengthen their bond with the animal kingdom. She's currently studying herbalism because she just doesn't have enough to do with her time, apparently.
Very passionate about a lot of things.
Yeah. So she's working with Dr. Patrick Jones on the herbalism studies. So she continues to deepen her connection with nature and holistic healing practices, always expanding her knowledge to better serve others on their path to love, healing, and self-discovery. Whew. I'm exhausted just thinking about all the things that you're doing.
Just very passionate about a lot of things because a lot of people are like, you just need to focus on one thing, but I'm just very passionate about a lot. I just really love to do many, many things. Yeah. It's just I can't stop one thing. And I always say that, sometimes one project will channel more of what I feel in the moment, like, you know, like sewing, it's just like putting my feelings and emotions into that sometimes won't be needed in the art world. It's just like I kind of like bounce between the ones and like grow my knowledge with it because I'm learning too. So it's just like I bounce around.
So let me just say that you are one of my two favorite Jessicas. Because this Jessica happened to make a comment on my website about Jessica Greco, who was on the show earlier. And when I saw her comment and looked into her background, I invited her to be on the program too. So anyway, these two are really connected, I guess, soul sisters, maybe?
Yes. Well, it's funny because we actually met at the Ronzio School of Holistic Health. And it's funny because I remember that day that I saw her, like, I had a sense of knowing I needed to know her. Like, spirit, like, told me, like, you need to know her. And it's funny because we didn't talk at all throughout the whole entire class. Like, we didn't actually become friends in the class. We actually became friends after the class, but I just had like this sense of knowing, like, you need to know her. And it's true because like we both have actually helped each other grow, like trust our gifts and like practice together. I remember when we started reading people over the phone, like we would kind of like hype each other up, and we still hype each other up, like, you got this, like, because it is scary, like, to accept something that's just not really normalized in this world, and like of growing, you know. And yeah, like we actually came up with this thing which would be really helpful for other people who are learning to accept their gifts. It's called the 5. Like we both started this together. We were like, okay, give me 5 visions. And I was like, I'll give you 5. So we started out, we would sit there and I would just like let spirit give me like whatever comes to my mind or whatever feeling I feel. Or if I got pain in my body, I'm like, oh, spirit's giving me pain on your shoulder. And she's like, oh yeah, like I have pain in my shoulder, you know. Like it was just a way to practice. So everyone at home, they can do this trick of give me 5, like, and I'll give you like 5 visions, you know, give me 5.
It isn't this 5.
No, not give me 5. Like actually just like sit there with a piece of paper, write down like 5 feelings, 5 mind pictures, like like I say, it comes to people like your imagination, you know, like whenever you read a book and it's just like your mind's coming up with this image from the words, let your mind show you what you need to write down. So it's like, is there a tree popping into your mind? Do you see like 2 blue birds coming in? You know, like let your imagination flow, write it down and be like, okay, like, you know what? I got like, you know, a golden retriever, you know, or, you know, just give me 5. And it was like a great way. Like we both like learned to trust it because we were able to verify like, oh yeah, like, yes, that makes sense. Like, yes, that makes sense. And so we still do that to this day. Like, I'm like, Jess, can you give me 5? It's just like fun way to practice. And everybody at home should do that. Like, just do with a friend, you know, like, give me 5.
Yeah.
See what comes up.
Okay. How about we go back to your childhood?
Yeah.
Just for fun. And you relate your spiritual journey as it unfolded.
Oh, very much so.
And then we'll start with some questions and get into all the fun stuff you're doing.
Yeah. So growing up, I always had dreams like that would come to life. Like they would predict things. And I honestly didn't grow up knowing my grandparents either. And I remember one of the dreams kind of scared my mother because she was just like, how did you know like what she looked like? I described her mother like perfectly, and that weirded her out. And I just had certain things would like, okay, like, you know, on the way through this path, there's going to be a semi truck flipped over. There's going to be, you know, this on this way and this way. And I remember that day that we were traveling, I was like, we passed the semi truck that was flipped over. And then over here, that other object was this, you know. It was just like, kind of like, I was just like, what's happening? You know, it wasn't like something normal. It was just like I was able to predict things. And I remember always having dreams about spiders, which I like learned now that one of the spiders are one of my guides and stuff. So it's just like, and it's funny because a lot of people fear spiders, but like there's so much that the spirit of the spider can like teach people, like the web, like how we're all connected. Like, and if you take one link out, the web crumbles. So like every person's like individual light, there's a purpose. Like everyone has a special light that connects us all together. Sound, which is so funny because it's all like coming together, like why the spider would be my spirit guide, because I'm a musician, you know, like the power of sound healing. And then also like sewing, like, you know, like sewing, sound. I mean, it's kind of obvious why the spider is one of my guides.
Okay.
Oh, and then I'll go into whenever I got older over time, like I just experienced more and more. Like I remember the day I started feeling energy more, like tension, you know, like I would feel the energy of the room. Oh, and I also, in school, I used to see people's auras, like it would glow, like I would be staring at them on a wall and you would see like orange glowing or yellow glowing around people. And like later on in life, it really hit me. It was just like always there. And then like at a certain point, I remember just feeling energy in the room. And then my dreams got crazier, like where like I remember feeling like my hands vibrating in my dream, and I would wake up and then my ears were ringing and I felt pressure there in my third eye. And it's just like, that's when I started really like getting visions after that. Like I started to just see things popped up. Like I remember my mom couldn't find an object, and I haven't lived at their house for many years, so I didn't know like where it was. So like spirit like instantly like showed me a vision of like where this item was, and I told my mom, I was like, it's between these two shelves in this one room. And she was like, how did you know? I'm like, I don't even know. Like spirit showed me, you know. It's just like just more things happened at a specific time in my life, and that's like right before I actually found the school. Like so it was just like it happened right before, and then I found the school that helped me really understand like more about energy, more about like what's happening, like psychometry, and just like learning mediumship even more. So it's just like I felt like it happened at a specific point, like that when it should have.
Well, everything happens when it's supposed to.
Yes.
Right? But okay, that was a lot that sounded a little confusing to my audience probably.
Okay.
So let's see if we can get a little more linear, even though it's all a spiral.
Yeah.
So first of all, when you started noticing this stuff, and you say at a young age, 5, 6,
Yeah,
something like that?
Yeah, definitely. Elementary school.
Elementary school. Okay. Did this freak your mother out?
Not really, because my mom was actually, she's just like, she's one of the most in tune people I've ever met. Like, she's just like, had very sense of knowing. Like, she just knew things. Like, she knew things when it was going to happen. Like, she just had like this sense of knowing, and like, you could just ask her anything about somebody and she'll just like write a letter and know like everything about that person. So I'm very, very lucky to have a mom that was very in tune and very intuitive, like to kind of like, she didn't think I was weird, but maybe my dad probably did. Because my dad definitely like, I wouldn't say was very in tune, like, and still to this day, my dad's just like, interesting. You know.
Well, he did marry your mother,
yes.
So he, you know, he must have some acceptance there, right?
I hope so.
Okay, so how about religious background? Were you raised in any faith tradition growing up?
Honestly, like I remember going to church. It was on, I can't tell you what kind of religion, because like I really don't know. Like I actually like whenever I was younger I did, but like then it got a point far away from it. And it is funny because like I see angels and stuff, like, and my eyelids flutter. So it's just like I didn't grow up religious. It's just like my younger self did, but I don't know much. Like I don't know much about like the typical religion, which kind of helps me because it's just like I can like just go off of love. Like I know love is real, and I know angels are real because I see them and like I can feel them. Like my eyelids flutter, and it's just like high vibration. It's just like whenever I meditate, it's just like the love that I feel come in, like when you get in that deep state, like.
Yeah.
So I know stuff like that's very real.
Okay, so this didn't freak your mother out. Did it
No.
freak you out?
Yeah, because very much so. Like, because it's like, I mean, it still freaks me out to this day. Like, because it's like, you know, like, I question if I'm crazy. It's just like, because I mean, it's very like when you tell people, like, you might be met with very other people that have experienced things on a smaller level, and they can like meet you halfway and be like, yeah, I understand what you're saying. And then, or you can be met with people that are like, you're crazy, you know? And so it's like kind of like I should be used to it because I obviously walk on the weird side.
Yeah.
Like I like look different, like I walk my own path. So it's like I should be used to it, but it freaks me out at times because I'm like, you know, like it's just, I think it's really cool, but a lot of times it's just like, whoa, did that really just happen? That's super cool. Like it's just unreal.
All right, so I'm picturing you in middle school and high school and thinking, okay, did you try to hide all this so that you could fit in? And did people still think you were weird, or
I definitely didn't tell
how'd you manage this?
I definitely didn't tell anybody. Like I didn't tell anybody at all. Like, and I think that's probably like why I'm so open about it now, because I'm just like, well, whatever, you know,
Yeah.
why like hold back now? But in school, I just didn't want to say anything. Like I
Sure.
don't think it would have been met with positive,
Yeah.
especially back then. I feel like we're now more open. Like we're starting to get more open minded. More people are trusting what they're feeling, which is awesome. I can't wait to see how the future is gonna be. I'm excited.
Yeah, I feel your excitement. It comes through for sure. So, you know, and you've said, people have said to you, well, Jessica, you have to focus, and you seem so disparate in terms of trying to do so many things and do them well. So when you think of Jessica, like, who am I? How do you respond to your own question of, or maybe you haven't asked yourself that question yet, but who are you? to yourself?
I very much, I like feel like I know who I am, and it's so funny because it's just like I love like that is just like the definition of like who I am, just because it's just like I feel so much from here, too much sometimes, and it's just like I'm obsessed with it. Like I always have been, like just like love like the feeling and just like watching movies, and just like ever since I was younger, like I would always help out animal shelters, and like it would bring so much joy just to give to them. It's just like I would cry, like it would like make me so happy I would cry, like, which is so funny because people just like, you cry when you're happy. I'm like, I do, like when I'm like super duper happy, like I'm just like a baby. But it's just like I feel so much here. And even songs, like when I tell people like, man, it hits me here, like some people don't know what I mean, but it's like it always hits me here. And I feel like that's just who I am. Like I put like my heart into everything I do, like my music, my heart, my art, my heart, like just I know that's just who I am. Like, and I like love people for who they are. Like I've always been very open-minded, which is probably like growing up, I've always had a collection of just people from all over, like with different personalities that didn't fit in the typical box that everyone tries to shove themselves in. Like I guess I just always went down my own path, like of challenging the norms, you know. Like I just didn't want to be put in that box, and I just didn't feel right. Like I just wanted to love people for no matter how they looked. If they want to draw lightning bolts all over their faces, like I will love them for that, you know. Like because I always did my own thing. I used to draw like spiderweb makeup, you know, like I put gems on my face. I did whatever. Like I was always doing something, pushing the norms, and that's why like I know that's just who I am. I'm love. Like I will love you for who you are, whatever you do. Like I'm not gonna judge you. I'm just gonna be here and love you.
I imagine you attract a lot of people to yourself because that's what love does. I'm thinking about this. Well, let's talk about where did you grow up?
I actually grew up in Missouri, so like Fort Leonard and then Rolla. So it's just like they're right there. It's right outside a military base in the
Uh-huh.
middle of the center. And I think that's probably another reason why I was very closed is because it's like a lot of the religions down there would be like I knew a lady who's amazing. She was like super duper amazing. And before I even like were open minded to where I am now, like I remember one of my friends committed suicide and that lady helped me connect to her and was like, she's okay. But it's just like people in that town, they call her the devil woman. And that always bothered me because she's one of the nicest
Uh-huh.
people ever. Very intuitive, very, very intuitive. Like, and there was like a fire hall in Missouri that was haunted by one of the firemen. And she saw him all the time. She was like, oh, there's whatever. And like people start realizing, okay, she sees people like and
Yeah.
she's super amazing and that's why I think it's just like I just kept it like quiet like because it's just like people quick to judgment but it's just like the most kind people like and but they like did that to her in that town so it's just like kind of like
Yeah.
ugh.
If they only knew what I
Yeah,
could do.
that's what I mean. It's just like it just makes me sad to see people that are she's just one of the most I mean she's SWAT team police officer worked on
Mm.
she's a medic one of the kindest people ever rescues like people I get emotional because she's like beautiful soul and what they did to her was wrong
Yeah,
so it's just
sure.
like that's why it's just like kind of scary like sometimes you can't be like who you truly are
Right.
sometimes
Yeah. Okay. So there you are in Missouri.
yeah.
Until what age and what happened that brought you to Pittsburgh?
Actually moved out here 2011. I'm a musician, so like I noticed the scene like started dying out there. Like it was like a tough patch for the state. It was just like the rock radio station went out of business and like venues, it was like really hard to get shows. And honestly, metal doesn't really do well out there because, like I said, it's like kind of like a certain set of people, like,
Right.
and it's just like a smaller market, So we like actually picked up and moved out here, which my drummer's real dad like lived out here, and we were like, you know what, it'd be a great place to like, because I noticed there was so many people at the concert, so I was just like, wow, like metal music does really well out here, and it was just really cool, like, because it's like you guys have Columbus and then New York. It was like a good portal to reach all these amazing cities to actually be able to
Yeah.
play shows, and things have definitely like grown. Like, I don't think my band would have had the opportunities that we've had like since we moved out here in Missouri. Like, it's just like been amazing, like the show opportunities, and my fan base is growing.
Yeah.
And I do play rock music. It's not just like
Not
metal,
always
rah, rah,
heavy metal. Okay.
Yeah, it's not like, and a lot of people are like, how do you do that? Like, is that really coming out of you? And like, no vocal effects. That's all me. Like, it's just diaphragm vocal
Yeah.
technique.
So what kind of venues have you played here? And what have you done lately, I guess?
Yeah. So I played at the Altar Bar, which I think they turned that back into is no longer music videos. So I've honestly played everywhere, like Smiling Moves, the Altar Bar, Key Bank Pavilion, but it's now probably Starlight. They changed the big amphitheater. Like
Yeah.
I played there. Honestly, I've played like pretty much all over in Pittsburgh, and I'm currently trying to like go out of state. Like I want to start traveling to other states and start building more of a name. Like I actually played a show this past Sunday, so it was like really really cool. And actually, like one of my fans, she was like a younger girl, she came out and gave me artwork that she drew herself, which was very heartfelt, because I was like having a hard time, which like I want to tell people, like sometimes like you're gonna have highs and lows. And like over the weekend, like I was just like questioning, like, why am I still doing this? Like, because it's like you don't see the impact.
Yeah.
And it's just like you're like questioning, is what you're doing doesn't matter, like, is it doing, like, because it's like, I write the music for myself, because I love it, but it's just like you want others to enjoy it too, and it's just like kind of gets heartbreaking when you don't see the impact. And I just want to tell people, I actually meditated underneath the pine tree, and the pine tree like told me to not do something because you see the impact, but do it because it feels good here, which is so true. So like, which I usually do follow, but over the weekend I kind of like lost sight of that, you know? Like, right. I'm human. I lost sight of that. Like, I forgot, like, it's just not always about seeing the impact. It's just like doing it because you love it. Like, but yeah, it does. Yeah. Highs and lows.
And most of what we do, we'll never know the impact. No. But it's all got a ripple effect.
Yeah.
And you know that.
Yeah. Well, Spirit, it's so funny because Spirit always tells me, like, just a drop will cause ripples. And they tell me that all the time because I forget. Like, I'm like, tend to like, yeah, I think we just live in a world where it's like, social media is like, you want to see the impact. And it's just like having to break that. Like trying to break that because it's just like you want to see like what sometimes other people will have, because it's just like super cool that they have fans, like honestly, like I do it because like I want to have people tell me like how my music has helped them, like because I love that, but it's like I may never get that, and that's something I'm gonna have to get over, like I may never see the impact. And I just want people to know that, like, to just do it because you feel it here, like feel it in your heart.
Yeah. Okay, so how and when did you get into Reiki? How'd that happen?
That actually started after I went to the Ronzio school, and I didn't even know what Reiki was. Like,
where is that school?
It is down in Connellsville. They teach you how to do Reiki. She actually had an intuition course, which she teaches you more about psychometry. Mm-hmm. They also have an herbalism course. They have reflexology. So like anybody who's wanting to like learn, start there. Like, she was an amazing teacher, like helped me learn so much because I didn't even know about psychometry, like, and how to do that, how to touch an object and know information about the object or people who had it. It's just and to meet like minds, like they even had meditation, so they always bringing up new stuff. And I actually taught a class down there once too. But yeah, like I got into Reiki, it was like after I took their intuition course, so it was like probably 6 years ago, and I started hearing about Reiki, and like it's just like I was more curious about it, and then feeling it in my dream. Like that's when I had that crazy dream, like where like I felt like tingles, like vibrations. That's all I can say is like kind of like a pulsing sensation, like, and I was just like, what is this, like, and I like learned more about it. And that's when I got into more of feeling energy, like Spirit making me feel energy. So like whenever you like sit in Reiki, like Spirit will make you feel pain where they're having it, and you can focus that, and it was super cool. Like the possibilities for all that is just like, we don't even know.
So you have this rock band.
Yeah.
Do you have a Reiki practice where people come to see you for Reiki and you charge them, and is that a business for you?
No, actually, like I kind of like just like honestly how I use it, I get really creative. Like I'll like actually before I go on stage, like I'll like ask Spirit to like flow through me and like let the healing energy and love like unpack them through the notes that I play. Like I charge like my greeting cards that I make, like I'll sit there and I'll like put like my love into it. Like I'll just sit there and charge the greeting cards. And it was so funny because you're just like, is it really doing anything? And my one friend, Andrea, like I gave her a birthday card, and she's, I wouldn't say not intuitive, but she's never mentioned anything. And she said like, what did you do to that card? Because she like felt energy flow up her hands, like, and she was like surprised. She was like, I felt the love off of your card. And she's never been open-minded at all. Like, I've never heard her say anything like that. I've never heard her mention anything weird. And she's just like, what was that? And I was just like, I put my love into that card for you. Like, I charged it like with love. Like, and somebody else I knew too, like, actually did that with their baked goods. I actually felt and I didn't know her at the time. I like bit her cupcake and I like felt love flow through me, like the energy of love. And I told my husband, I was just like, you know, I need to meet this girl. I was like, I want to tell her that she puts love into her cupcakes. And I actually met her and she was like, yeah, like, I set the intention to put love into my baked goods. And I was just like, I think everybody could get creative and like put love into anything and everything. Charge this microphone, like charge the pen, charge your money when you hand it to the cash register. Like, love can go into everything and everyone. And it's just like the power. I don't know.
So go ahead and hold that card up again, or the other card, or both of them.
These are like greeting cards that I make. I draw all the artwork. I print them myself. Everything's handmade by me from the start. Like, I actually did a lot of research into this. Like, I actually had to figure out what printer could handle the thick cardstock, because it's like 120 pounds.
Right.
And I found out like a Canon Pro 200 can handle it.
Oh,
and then I put the holographic film on it, and I have a Cricut maker that will cut out the shapes that I put. But it's just very, very much made from love. And I go to events, and you know, like I'm pretty much just trying to always like raise money for like animals or good causes that I tend to like love to donate towards animals more.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have helped out like several of human shelters and stuff. But yeah, like I'm just trying to create more artwork to like raise more money. That's like my excitement. Like, I love helping them out.
So have you ever been a vendor at the psychic fair that's out at the Comfort Inn?
I did once. Yeah, like once a year. I try to go many places because like I like to, like, the thing that I sell the most is my Animal Connections deck. And I try to like go where and bounce around because like after a while, like, you see the same people, they already have it, and you know, which is awesome. But it's just like I want to reach more people, new people, because I mean, sometimes like everything's handmade by me, and the profit versus cost sometimes, you know, it's like, and it's just like I'm trying to grow my business, and sometimes like certain events drain my business, like, which sucks to say, but it's just like you have to.
I get it.
You have to go.
Yeah. All right. Now, the animal deck. How did that come about? Can you describe like when you first got the idea and where that came from and why you decided to do this, and
it was wild.
What that's about?
So like Jess Greco, like like we actually were at the time wanting to start opening up a store together, and we both didn't have the funds to do it, and we were like, we had such amazing ideas, and she was like pushing, like, she was like, we need to do this, we need to do this, and like my gut just felt no, even though we both love the idea, but like I was just like, man, like even Jess knows this, like my gut is like the ultra compass. Like the compass is just amazing, like it's on fire, but like my compass was telling me no, like no. And I was just like, how am I gonna break this to Jess, you know, tell her like, no, like I can't do this. And I remember she was like pushing really hard, like, we need to do this now, and I was just like, my gut was screaming, you know, like, no. You know. And I was like, you know what, you're gonna have to tell her the truth. And I told her, like, I was like, Jess, you know, like, I'm sorry, like, this can't happen. And I remember I broke down and cried, and I was like on my way home from work, and I had the clearest day, like the vision of my logo. Like I saw like my logo, I heard the name Root for Love, and I was just like, and I just had a sense of knowing like I needed to create an oracle deck with animals. Like, it was like an instant download, which is weird to say, but it's just like, it was the most clearest vision I ever had. Like, just, I knew what my logo was supposed to look like. I knew, like, the saint, like, root for love, and the slogan came to me, which is be love, speak love, and know love, you know,
Yeah.
like, and I just knew that I was supposed to create animals and, like, create this deck. So it was just like, I remember the moment. It was just like super unreal. But yeah, like, I ended up creating this deck with all these animals. And yeah, it's all handmade by me.
So, it being an oracle deck, should I draw a card, and what's it going to tell me?
Okay, so I hate seeing the word oracle, like, but that's honestly kind of like what it is. But the reason why I don't like to say oracle is because a lot of people fear it. A lot of people think that they lose power over their life, and it's just like, they're just like, oh, like, they think that, like, oh, this is going to tell me my future. But I always like to tell people, like, you have the power to control your life. Like, it's like not meant to tell you what to do. And a lot of people get lost. They're like, what should I do? What should I do about this decision? And it's like, well, like, you should sit down and, like, ask yourself questions like, will this make me happy? Like, what are the pros? What are the cons? You know? And, like, so this deck, like, I created as a reflection. Like, I wanted people to kind of, like, what I always tell people, which I'm going to, like, create more meditations and more instruction videos. I'm like trying to do all this, like, you know, and mostly what I created was for people to kind of, like, do the meditation, which is like a 5-minute meditation. And it's meant to be short because a lot of people will be like, I can't meditate. I'm like, you can. Like, you can.
Yeah.
It's just, like, more of, like, practicing. Like, you have to practice to get past that point. And my 5-minute meditation was a very creative, it's not a traditional, like, meditation. It's like there's a lot of talking and a lot of using your imagination, because it's like people's minds are always like blah blah blah, you know, like talking at first. I wanted them to, like, be encouraged that they can meditate. So I created that 5-minute meditation. And, like, if anybody listens to it or wants to try it, you can go to, like, rootforlove.com and check out the meditation. But, like, pretty much it's just like, okay, like, you're standing in a field and there's an oak tree and, like, the leaves are falling, and it's like, what color are the leaves? Like, and your imagination is supposed to, like, pop up with a color, and it's like, whatever color you see, pink, purple, you know, like, I want the people to have their imagination flow. And honestly, I always believe that whenever we're in that state, that's, like, when we're connecting, because it's like we're being open-minded, we're being creative, we're being in that mindset to, like, just receive wisdom. So it's like, I have them, like, where they're standing underneath the oak tree, the leaves are falling, and it's just like the wind's blowing, you know, like, see it flow back and forth. So they're, like, using their imagination. And then I was just like, what animal do you see coming towards you? And it's like, then if you see an animal, you'll know what animal to look. But if the animal's not in my deck, take note of that. And, like, what message does it have for you? Like, does it tell you need to slow down? You know, it's just like, they'll tell you, like, what you need. And that's why I wanted to create it, was to have reflection, like, so people could do the meditation. Or you can do, like, you can pull a card, you know, and, like, I always tell people, like, if they pull a card, you know, like, it's like, sit with it, like, before you flip it over. Like, you know, like, what do you see? Like, what do you feel? Like, what words do you hear? You know, and I want to tell people, like, you know, and a lot of people overthink it, you know, like, they try too hard, you know. It's just like, you know, it's meant to be fun. Like, there's no wrongs or rights, you know, like, just what do you see off of it? And it's just like, this one is, something is to be uncovered from the surface. What the eyes believe may not be spoken truths. Stop assumptions and start conversations. There's much more to be learned here. Things aren't always how they seem. So, like, if you would get this one, which is a groundhog, it's about people, like, if you would have to reflect, like, am I jumping to conclusions? Like, that's pretty much what this card is. Just like
6 more weeks of winter.
Yeah.
Like that?
Yeah, pretty much. It's like jumping to conclusions, because it's just like you may never actually know the truth, because like, I mean, the groundhog isn't always just like, it's not always like on track, you know. It's just like it's
we learned that over the years.
yeah, so it's just like jumping to conclusions. And I mean, having conversations, because I notice a lot of times like our minds could think the worst, like, oh, this person's mad at me, or like they didn't like what I did. And it's just like, and then you go and have a conversation and they're like, oh no, like they were upset about what somebody else did or whatever reason. It's just like conversations are so important. Like you learn so much more, like what are they protecting if they're like self-guarding, you know. It's just like talk to people, like, and I struggle with that too. Like, I mean, we're human, like I jump to conclusions, and it's just like sometimes it's just better to be like, are you okay? Are you mad at me? Like, you know, it's just like, and just listen.
So what kind of feedback have you gotten from people who have used your deck?
Amazing. Like, I'm super duper excited, because a lot of people say that it has helped them accept more of their abilities to like actually receive, because a lot of people doubt. I think everyone's intuitive, like everyone has these abilities and gifts. It's just like more people are open-minded and more people are closed off. And I've had so many people say that they're able to receive more. And I also have a lot of people that are just excited for me to come up with more animals, which I'm currently working on, because I have
you are? Okay.
Yeah, I have 21 animals right now, and it's just like I have like the frog and I don't know, like the owl and the bear. Like I just have so many different animals, and they all have like individual like messages. Like the bear is about people who, you know, give and give, and it's just like you need to like replenish your roots. It says a wilting flower will not bloom, time to replenish your roots so you can stand tall to reach the sun. Because like if you give too much, just like you become wilting, you burn out. So it's like a lot of the animals have very, very unique messages, and it's just like gives people to reflect time too. It's just like shuffle against your heart, pull a few cards, you know, and see what the message is saying, and like look at ways you can improve in your life, because we're all like a work in progress. It's like we all can improve, like we all need to improve. I need to improve, like we all need to improve. And it's just like, what a better way than to like reflect and look, you know.
Yeah. So speaking of wearing yourself out and burning out, how do you deal with what appears from the outside to be a pretty frenetic life, especially if you're that in tune with spirit? I imagine you're getting messages at times when you're not ready for them, or you didn't ask for them, they just come at you.
Yeah.
So, you know, how do you stay grounded, or do you stay grounded? Maybe that's a big effort for you.
I feel like I stay very grounded in like the creative process. I think that's probably like why I have so much of it. It's just like a lot of times like it can't like just sometimes things could be a little bit overwhelming sometimes, and it's just like I like tend to put that energy like kind of like come grounded by creating, because like when you stop and have to draw, like you have to like, especially sewing, like you have to be grounded in the moment. Like if you're not there mentally, like you mess up, and it takes you forever to rip the seams out, and it just makes you super frustrated, annoyed, like, and it's just like but yeah, like I do receive messages that like it's just sometimes like I have to choose whether to tell, like, because I have a friend who like her decisions, I'm just like, you know, like should I tell her or should I not? Like, because it's like they're here to learn lessons, so it's like you want to protect them. So it's just like you like have to like receive the message, and sometimes like just keep your mouth shut, because we're like here to learn lessons. And sometimes I do like give her heads up, like, you know, this person's not the best person for you, you know, like I see this person's going to be very controlling and abusive, and it's just like sometimes like you have to just know things and zip it. And like I think I just like kind of like mostly like create and keep to myself a lot of times. Like I do socialize, don't get me wrong, but it's just like I do like keep to myself.
Well, it's like people who are very telepathic and intuitive. Sometimes you're afraid to be around them because they're going to read things that they're in your head, you know, and that can be scary for people to be around someone like that. I know someone who, you know, just read their partner's mind and said, "You cheated on me, you're out of my life." And he didn't say a word, and there was no sense of it, but, you know, she could read his mind, or she knew that he was focused on some other woman.
Yeah. And it sucks though, because like, okay, so it's like sometimes it's just like like spirit just warns you because it's like, you know, like they want you to know, like, you know, that person's not for you, like that person doesn't have your best interest, so it's just like they like warn you, you know. And also like just, I don't know, just knowing that certain people weren't supposed to be there in the first place. And it's just like a fear mindset, like you cling and grab onto somebody, and it's like I like try to like let my friend figure that out for herself, because it's like sometimes like they're not meant to be there, but that fear of being alone. And it's just like, you know, like you're not really alone, like your loved ones are around you, like, and you have friends, you know. And sometimes just like you clinging to this person or another person is just like that wasn't meant to be there in the first place, and spirit knows that you know that. So it's like sometimes they'll like be like, well, you know, like they'll give you a vision and they'll tell you, like, and they're like, you need to know. Like, they gotta go.
Yeah, that's got to be tough. It's got to be hard to be you sometimes. All right, the clothing line, and you talked about sewing, and at least how that grounds you and focuses you, because you got to be focused, or
So I wanted to make a correction. I didn't make this awesome shirt though. Like I didn't wear any of my clothes today, but you can check them out at Root for Love. So like the clothes, I'm actually learning how to pattern draft. So like, which a lot of people who don't know that, like it's basically patterns, and it's just like learning how to do measurements, and it's not to say a dead art, but it's just like not very many people know how to do that. So I'm like having to teach myself, and it's been nothing but errors and errors and errors and errors and errors. And like, but it's just like super rewarding because I have like those outfits that I have created. I was successful, like, but actually over the weekend, I was working on a vest, and my pattern drafting was off, like I forgot to do an important step, because there's this thing called contouring, and it's like you're supposed to like subtract. Once you cut through a certain line, you're supposed to subtract certain amount of inches whenever you cut down certain lines. So like I missed that step, so it's extra baggy, and so it's like there's so much mathematics, and I always sucked at math, so it's just like a lot of learning and failing. Like I feel like right now I'm just in a failing stage, which is very, very interesting to not give up. You know, it's just like we're like at times we just fail so much at something, but I'm not going to give up. So that's like really important to like, just because you're failing doesn't mean that one day you're going to succeed. Because right now I'm failing, and I just have this vision in my mind of where I want to go with it. Like I want to create outfits and beautiful ball gowns that are like out of this world. Like I want to have like galaxy like dresses, you know, where there's stars and butterflies. It's just like something that's just not really common. I just want to offer that for people, just unique clothes.
Well, I know some people who do that stuff. One of them's been on this podcast. And her business is repurposing material, mainly denim.
That's cool.
And I also, my wife's cousin is a pattern drafter, and she sells patterns.
Wow.
because it is, like you said, there's there's an art to that.
There is.
And you really have to learn it.
Yeah.
So
I'm failing at this point. Like, not, I wouldn't say failing. I'm learning because, like, honestly, like, I have learned so much with my failures.
Yeah.
Like, every time, like, I'm like, well, I learned this and this and this and this. And, like, I've really have come a long ways because, like, man, I can tell you, like, just the amount of videos and time I've, like, watched. And, like, there's so many different methods. And it's just, like, just trying to get to the A to point Z, like, has been a crazy journey.
Yeah. Anyway, we can talk offline about that. I might be able to connect you with a couple people who could
just to
help
give me
you with
some
that.
a little bit of guidance would be great.
Yeah. Okay. All right. The Animal Connections deck. I wonder, as you've worked with animals, because you said you volunteered at animal shelters and do things, do you communicate with animals? And how's that work for you? Because I've interviewed a couple animal communicators, and it's seems to be a little different for everybody. So
yeah.
So can you describe that experience and maybe the first time that it happened? That you said, oh, I can talk to the animals.
Yeah, it's so, like, I actually have many animals of my own. I have a potbelly pig, I have roosters and chickens, and I've just had so many different animals. And
I hope you're not living in an apartment in the city.
no, I actually live out in the country.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, like, I have actually, like I love to grow. Like, I have a huge, gigantic garden. I have 2 acres, so it's just like, I wanted so much more, but, like, 2 is where I could get, but, like, anyways, back to the animals. Just, like, they communicate in a different way. It's just, like, because, I mean, like, more of, like, visions, mind pictures and stuff, and, like, I, like, noticed that by, like, just whenever I read a book, like, how to do it, and it's just, like, I, like, sat into that, like, with my hen, like, and it's just, like, getting visions of what she wanted, like, more to, like, make her space more appeasable. So it's just, like, sitting with your animal and, like, letting the mind pictures flow, like, because you might find out, like, what they need or want, like, because you might get, like, intuitive information, like, of feelings. Like, I know, like, my dog, like, I would sense more of, like, where I needed to, like, massage him or Reiki him. So it's just, like, just being sensitive, using that. Like, they can't tell you things verbally, so talking to them, like, through spiritually, like, connecting, is just, like, just setting the intentions. Intentions are everything, and that's what I, like, learned. It's just, like, my intentions. And same with going with plants. It's the same way, like, connecting to animals and plants. Like, I tell people they can do this at home. Take different herbs out of your cabinet. Take basil, take mint, wrap them up in random papers, number them randomly, mix them up, well, put them in first and then, like, number them, like, mix them up and number them, and then, like, write down, like, 1, 2, 3, or 4, and, like, just sit there, rub your hands and, like, just let your mind flow with a notepad and, like, write what you see, feel, like, and the plant will tell you, like, what it's good for. Same with, like, the animals. It's like they'll tell you what they want you to know, like, verbally, mentally, like, and it's like sit there with a plant and, like, see, like, what you feel. Like, do you feel warm? Like, basil's, like, a warming herb, so it's just, like, just write down, like, what you get. Do you see somebody coughing? Like, like, it's just like, okay, then that herb's, good for coughing or sore throat, like thyme, like, sore throat. Like, it's just, like, they'll tell you, and you can Google to fact check. That way you will build up your confidence. Like, I feel like herbs are, like, the perfect way to start for people. Like, sit there and just, like, practice, and you can Google to make sure, like, am I really, like, picking up things? And they'll let you know. And if you don't get it right the first time, you're trying too hard. Like, don't take it so serious. Like, it's just like, there's no, like, you're wrong, like, you failed. Like, it's just, like, practice. It's like a muscle. Gonna build it.
So what you just said reminds me that you're getting into herbalism. So is that part of what this herbalism's all about?
Well, it's so funny because that's what started me to get into it. Like I was straight out of like the school of holistic health, and I was like practicing, connecting to animals, and I was just like working in my garden. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna see if I can connect to this plant. And I like sat with like, lavender and just random plants and see what visions I could get. It's all about practicing, and that's like what I learned was just like to trust myself more was just like practicing with several things like objects, practicing with like you can write somebody's initials on there and sit there and like try to see what you get off writing initials on paper and like see what you get, like, and I did that with plants. I just sat there and I like wrote what I got, and it's just like really kind of like led me down to like what I wanted to do was like just like help people with like plants. Like I've just always been a passionate gardener. Like I always believe natural is like the best way to go. Like we know where it came from, the dirt, it's just like natural stuff. So I'm learning from an amazing herbalist right now. His name's Patrick Jones, and I always told my husband, I was like, I know like I need to learn from him. Like this is the guy I need to learn from. And I hesitated for a very, very long time. I was just like, the price wasn't too bad, but I was just like, like one day I'll learn. And I was like, you know what? I know it. I'm going to do it. And he's been such an amazing teacher because I'm learning herbalism for animals. So I feel like that's going to tie in with me connecting with the animals. Like what plants do they need? I'll be able to sit there with them and see where I feel, or have them like show me like what herb will be needed for this person or animal, and it's just like super cool to learn from him because he's like an herbalist and also a veterinarian. So it's just like going to be plant safe for humans and pets.
So there's a whole area to get in around that, and I guess it's people who hang their shingle up as a natural path.
Mm-hmm.
And I was recently in the office of a natural path doing a Reiki share with some other Reiki masters. And I did some research on natural paths because I ran into somebody who actually had a heart attack because of mold.
Yeah.
And conventional medicine says, no, mold can't cause heart attacks. Well, indeed it can. It can cause all kinds of problems for people. And it was only a naturopath who could work with them and figure out what the issue was and give him a remedy for that and how to get the mold out of his life and out of his body. Is there any thought in your mind at the end of, because of the range of things that you do, of sort of coalescing some of those into a profession?
I mean, Michael, what I hope to do one day is like, honestly, like I would like to have like a place to do my herbalism. Like I keep asking spirit to guide me like to where I should be, because honestly, like I feel like herbalism is like where I would like to be, but also be able to sell my oracle decks, and my greeting cards, like I just want to just have a place, and I don't know where that place will be. Like I'm just kind of like still in the learning stage of herbalism. Like I'm already like have taken so much in, and like learning anatomy has been like the hardest part for me, but my goal is just like I really love to be an herbalist. Like I want to help people, and I've seen the power of the herbs because growing up, like my mom always had me on antibiotics, and like just I was so sick all the time, like all the time. And now that I'm like learning all this wisdom from this herbalist, I was like, man, like a simple things that I could have done to like gotten rid of my eczema, like because I had eczema on my hands, and like I was sick all the time, allergies. It's just like I suffered a lot, and even up to like, I think this is honestly what probably even led me even further into learning herbalism is a couple years ago. I was like, I felt like I spent the whole year sick. Like it was just like
Mm.
constantly getting sick, and stressed, like, but then I'm like learning to not worry about things that are out of my hands, like it's just like I can't worry about the world, like, and so I'm like learning that mindset is powerful, but also like plants could help us out so much. And ever since like gotten into herbalism, I have rarely got sick, it's just like because I like know how to do immune support teas. Like once I start getting like just like an itchy throat, like I start like throwing in like yarrow, like and like elderflower,
Hmm.
peppermint, and like these plants all together help support the body, like
Hmm.
to do the natural process that we're meant to do, not like,
Right.
it's just amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I keep going back to people who have been on the show, but there's an entrepreneur out in Mount Lebanon who, when she thought about opening up a store, and she and her friend decided to just rent a space in a place for a couple months and see if that area, which was Mount Lebanon, was really open to inner light. Well, it wasn't called inner light at the time, but when they opened the store, it was, well, are people going to be into crystals? Are people going to be into my paintings? Will people care about these things that we would
Man.
like? And they found out, yes, there was a market for it.
Hmm.
And then they could go further and say, okay, we can commit to this now because we know the market's here.
That's cool.
And that's the kind of thing that you might want to think about, is just do a pop-up location just for a little while, just to see if there's a market where you think there might be a market.
That's what I feel like it's gonna lead to one day, because it's just like I know, like I'm very passionate about the herbalism, like, and that would be able to give me also space to display my artwork and my creations and stuff. Like I
Mm-hmm.
feel, but
Right.
it's just like I know, like I keep asking like them to guide me, like, cause it's just like it is scary, like to like do that. So very
Right.
high
Sure.
props, like, cause it's like you put a lot online, but there's no risk, no reward. Like you have to put yourself out there to see,
Right.
and it's just like I know that's something that I want to do eventually, like when I get done with my school, like, but it is terrifying because I'm like I keep asking like where should I go, like, like, and I
Yeah.
keep dropping hints around my town, like, like what do you think, like if I was to open an herb store, and I get different responses. Some of it like makes me more nervous to hear,
Yeah.
but like I know, like I just flow like water. Spirit always says flow like water, and like,
Mm-hmm.
like you hit a rock, like flow over it, and if it doesn't work out for me, like I'll recover. Like it's just being resilient, like that's another thing about plants. They teach you about resilience, like looking for the light in situations, like follow the light, like
Right.
if something's dark, like reach for the light, grow, and also being resilient, like because poor dandelion, man, dandelion's like amazing, like such an amazing powerful medicinal herb, and like people just spray the crap out of it with Roundup.
Right.
But it's so resilient, it comes back, like even with all the poison, like we're all like that. They have so much wisdom, just have to
Mm-hmm.
listen.
Yeah. Well, I hate to say it, but we're out of time.
Yes.
So, as always, at the end of each podcast, I ask the guests to leave our audience with some words of wisdom. So now is your chance.
Okay, so I haven't really thought of this one, but I would just have to say, don't ever estimate the power of love, like and the power of kindness. Like put your love into everything. Say hello to people. Tell people how you feel, like in kind ways, and even just the tiniest bit of love really does like open up people more and more. Like, and some people have never experienced love like have seen the cruel side of the world. And so it's just like, maybe that smile that you're going to give out today, or you look nice, thank you, like you never know like what that will do for somebody. So just put love into everything.
Okay. Audience, as always, take what you've heard, incorporate what resonates with you into your life, put the rest on a shelf until you're ready to deal with it. And until next time, this has been your spiritual journey.